We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. It is Friday and the fun half. And we're going to have some fun, everybody. Super fun.
Yes.
All right, hold on. Give me one thing. I got to pull this up here. Donald Trump on Wednesday. This story popped up in the Washington Post. And seemingly it is a story that highlights something that some people within our press and our media and, what's her name? Bataya Sargon Akkad or what?
Batya Unger Sargon.
Okay.
What?
She, you know who she is?
No.
We played her
The
before.
MAGA Trumpist
She was the one who said, Trump is to the left of.
Yes.
Whose dad is a Harvard neurologist.
And let's be clear. I mean, there's a couple of things to be learned from this whole question of Donald Trump. And pop up. This is a Washington Post headline from Wednesday. Trump's inner circle weighs push for higher taxes on millionaires. Now, as you know, there is a budget bill that is winding its way through the House and the Senate. It's going to come to the head supposedly in September. And they are cutting. They're going to have to cut a lot from Medicaid to get to the numbers where we've talked about this, how they're trying to schemy and sort of subterraneanly cut Medicaid and make it look like it's the fault of the states. They're coming up with all different ways because they are desperate to extend Donald Trump's tax cuts, which were much more favorable to the wealthy than they were to folks who are making less than, let's say, whatever, $125,000, and to expand on that disparity, that the wealthy will get even that much more in terms of tax cuts. And there are some out there who would lead you to believe that Donald Trump is leading a MAGA populist movement. Now, I think it's true that Donald Trump will do whatever it takes for him to get elected. He doesn't care. I don't think that he has some populist streak inside him, but is it possible that he could in himself definitely raise it? Are there people in his coalition that feel like there has to be some type of economic populism? Usually it's like this guy, Steve Bannon, who feels that it should just be for, real Americans, real pure Americans should get this as part of his whole movement. But this is Steve Bannon on Wednesday as somebody is floating the idea, enough so that Jeff Stein at the Washington Post got it. I don't imagine Jeff Stein has too many connections within the Trump administration. But Stein wrote, Donald Trump's inner circle is weighing whether the White House should back raising taxes on Americans earning more than $1 million per year as part of the Republican 2025 tax legislation. This is according to 2 administration officials and 3 other people briefed on the matter. It has gotten largely a chilly reception among Republicans on Capitol Hill.
No. What?
I know that's shocking.
What happened to MAGA populism?
I know that's shocking.
R.I.P. MAGA populism, January 2025 to April 2025.
Now, J.D. Vance and
soon.
Budget Director Russell Vought have expressed openness to the idea in internal administration deliberations and are viewed as supportive, said the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe the private talks. And I will tell you right now, it's their aides who are who are giving the, because they want this out there, right? Like it is helpful for them in the same way that it was helpful for other people to say, Donald Trump's actually a populist. There is no populist movement on the right.
Anti-war too.
There is no populist movement on the right. They may throw it around. They may, suggest it, but they're never going to do that because you don't vote for a president. you vote for for its constituency too, which is why, Mike Johnson took about 30 seconds to kill this. Stephen Bannon, who served as the Trump's chief strategist has been publicly urging Trump to endorse the plan as part of a way of defanging Democratic attacks on the GOP as party of the rich. Now, someone should get Elise Slotnick on the phone. And did I say her name?
Alyssa Slotkin.
Okay. Somebody should get
You
both
got the
of
last
them.
name right this time, though.
Somebody should get everybody on the phone and tell them, people understand oligarchy. Here is Bannon on Wednesday trying to push this. And he's, of course, shut out of the inner sanctum.
So the day of reckoning's here, folks. The simple math is, unless you raise the taxes at the upper bracket, the math doesn't work. The math ain't that great with doing that, but that's kind of a starter. And so anybody wants to show me come back with some math, and what they're going to say is like what Elon said was going to be a 5% growth rate. Well, Elon said a lot of stuff, that none of it's turned out to be accurate. Like, where's my 2 trillion in cuts? Where's my 1 trillion in cuts? Where's my 150 billion in cuts? Just show me any cut. That's not programmatic, because the programmatic were being done by other people. Show me waste, fraud, and abuse. You've been over the Pentagon for 2 months, bro. That's a viper's nest of, wait for it, hang on, wait, waste, fraud, and abuse. I got nothing. And you're going to have to cut the defense budget. All these fantasies. People run around and get fantasies. They're fantasizing now. The global bond market gets a vote here. Don't forget the equity market, right? That's just lowering the cost of income.
All right. We don't need to, in these, but just, it's sort of fascinating what he's saying here. First off, he's saying exactly what we were saying the other day about Elon Musk's fake savings that have just shrunk, not too dissimilar from Tesla profits in the same way. And Bannon's saying, is trying to pitch to the Freedom Caucus people, you got to raise taxes on millionaires if you want to deal with this deficit and debt. From my perspective, you raise this money because you want to decrease wealth inequality. There's another reason. It has to do with the power dynamics within society. But nevertheless, Bannon's out there pitching it. But he knows ultimately that it's not going to work in this Republican Party. And there is no other Republican Party, folks.
Because Bannon does he's a smarter guy on the right. And obviously he's a white nationalist and has deeply problematic ideas, but he understands that in fascist movements and far right movements throughout history, the Nazis also offered social programs and employment to people.
There's a reason they called themselves the National Socialists, because capitalism was discredited.
Exactly. And so to have success and to build a far right, and that's their definition of success, a fascist takeover, you have to at least have that kind of fig leaf and offer that for people. But the Republican Party is completely captured by billionaires and industry, so it's not capable of delivering on that front.
Absolutely not. And even in that piece from Jeff Stein, outside Trump advisors Newt Gingrich, Steve Moore, Larry Kudlow have come out strongly against it, arguing the plan undermines the president's promise to cut taxes and will discourage economic growth. Now, of course, the whole Laffer curve stuff. I mean, as Bannon said in there, Musk, of course, also doesn't want taxes to raise. We're going to have 5% growth. My ass. And in addition, Sean Hannity, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican Senators Dave McCormick from Pennsylvania, swing state, Ted Cruz from Texas. Yeah. I mean, the list of every sort of poll in the tent of every tent poll of the tent of the Republican Party, which incidentally, we should say ranges from fascist rich guy to fascist rich guy who has a slightly different idea of what the party should be. I mean, this is not exactly a mix of, it's not exactly a heterogeneous party. The Republican Party is not going to raise taxes on wealthy people ever. They do not want to disempower wealthy people at all. Here's Gingrich now going around. Like, Gingrich, why are we hearing from him? Because he is the heart of the Republican Party. And lest you believe, here's Gingrich today, right? Gingrich believes Trump has taken the tax off of the wealthy off the table. He is part of the mechanism that runs the Republican Party. And understand, Gingrich is doing this, but if you go back, just to show you like how much of a dupe you have to be to believe that the Republican Party is a populist party. I don't care who the president is. This is how much of a dupe you have to be. There's Gingrich sinking the tax on the wealthy. And by him coming out and understand, he is the one who started the Gingrich revolution. He is the one who oversaw the takeover of Congress for the first time in about 30 years from the Democrats with the Republicans. He is the one who essentially created this movement, conservatism, whether it's the Freedom Caucus or and everything, you know, the Tea Party. These are all essentially grandchildren and children of Newt Gingrich. And this guy was out, one of the point people to sink the idea that they would raise any taxes on a millionaire.
Newt worked with Grover Norquist when the contract with America.
Yes, and Grover Norquist was the original Tea Party. Grover Norquist was the one who would go in and say, we're going to primary you and we don't care if you don't take a pledge not to raise taxes. This is the bedrock of republicanism. But it was a short 12 and a half years ago, 13 years ago, where Newt Gingrich was attacking Mitt Romney as a vulture capitalist for Bain. Right. People forget this, but Newt Gingrich, more than anybody, loosened up the ground and forced Barack Obama, in many respects, to run against Mitt Romney as a vulture capitalist. Obama's 2012 election was sort of like a coincidental, almost like a de facto populist run, because Mitt Romney was exposed as being like a country club Republican.
It was the 47% thing. And he was forced. Obama was very good at campaigning as somebody as more economic populist. Although when he got into power, that's not exactly how he was governing.
Nope.
But that was effective against Mitt Romney, even as the previous midterm cycle had seen such enormous backlash with the Democrats. He was able to survive that.
Was a private equity guy whose private equity firm killed Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Yes. And Newt Gingrich put out I think he bought time. I think he bought a 30-minute ad, I think it was, that basically went around to the companies that were destroyed and the factory workers who were destroyed by Bain Capital. And then, as soon as that election's over, Google right now, Newt Gingrich, I went too far. To the extent the Republican Party ever uses the
veneer of populism
of populism.
Maybe say Romney. Add to the
Gingrich
list.
went too far on the put Romney. Gingrich went too far. Romney, Bain Capital.
Yeah.
And go to news. Search news. Wait. Go back. Just go back a little bit. You just scroll down. Oh, yeah. Newt explains why he was so wrong. Wait, that wasn't it. It was he ended up going on an apology tour for attacking Romney as a vulture capitalist. In anybody who is like over the age of, 30 should understand that when the Republican starts talking like they're populist, they are full of it.
Exactly. Here it is. I crossed the line is what he said.
That was, yes, I crossed the line in Politico. And that was back in I shouldn't have done this.
Yes. Newt Gingrich signaled Wednesday that he believes his criticism of Mitt Romney's record at being capital is a mistake, and that he's created an impression that he's echoing Democratic rhetoric.
He actually not only echoed Democratic, he forced the Democrats to adopt that rhetoric because it was so effective. Yeah. Now, when what's her face from Slotkin goes out there,
we should pull this up
and says people aren't going to know what oligarchy is. Really? Did people know what vulture capitalism was?
Right. Yeah.
Mitt Romney went down in flames when Barack Obama had passed the Affordable Care Act, which was so toxic for Democrats that Republicans ran on that thing for like the next 8 years.
Yeah.
They still are attacking it. And so the idea that Republicans are in any way populist is a joke. And the idea that B, an anti-oligarchic, would you rather vulture capitalist, whatever it is, attacks aren't helpful to Democrats. It's just absurd.
See, this. I hadn't even seen this full quote here. She said, Democrats should stop using the term oligarchy, a phrase she says doesn't resonate beyond coastal institutions and just says that the party opposes kings. And to be the way that some of these Democrats speak about the rest of the country is just frankly offensive. Rahm Emanuel is like this too. When he's talking about how, we should be talking about kitchen table issues and basically saying we need to throw trans people under the bus and not defining what kitchen table issues are. As if people don't have the ability to grasp what's important to their life in politics and what isn't. And we know from exit polling that trans issues were not a determining factor in this election whatsoever. The economy was, and Trump was the one guy going out there and saying like, okay, yeah, the economy's not working for people. And his big tariff plan is immediately blowing up in his face and people are already seeing how full of crap he was. But can we pull up the data for progress graphic? She's just wrong on this. She's wrong in her cynical assessment of the American people. And she's the one acting elitist because she's underestimating people's collective understanding of their own material circumstances and of this term. Here it is, data for progress. What do you know? A majority of voters can correctly identify the definition of oligarchy. There you have it. A majority of independent and third-party people, that's the best cohort.
Independent third parties know more about the definition of oligarchy.
You want to talk about the center of the country? You want to talk about how you actually win over independent voters and you win elections? That graphic says it right there. It shows you right there that there's even more class consciousness about oligarchy from non-Democrats or Republicans, people who are less politically engaged because they fundamentally don't like either party because they think they're captured by the oligarchs. You know what's a good way to get around that and for Democrats to have electoral success? Harness that energy. And Slotkin, representing her donors, is and wealthy interests, and that faction in the party is trying to undercut the most salient political messaging opportunity that the Democrats have had in years.
Language is a tool. When Trump called DeSantis DeSanctimonious, everyone's like, people don't know what that means, but people like being given a new tool for a job that they want to complete. The problem is Slotkin doesn't want them to do that job.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you wanted to replace oligarchy, you wouldn't say king. Yes. The reason why she says king, and this is important.
Yeah.
If you dig down, if you sat down with a historian and talked about a king, they could say, well, actually, the king, it was an oligarchy. Like, it was a very much of an oligarchic system. It was feudal, but you had the dukes, and the king was the richest person of everybody because he was the king. But in the popular imagination, king denotes someone who is trying to exert political power as if they're a dictator. But oligarchy is something different. That is that moneyed interests control our government.
Yeah.
That our democracy is under siege, not because power is consolidated in one individual, but it is consolidated within a class of individuals. And this is what she doesn't want to do. She does not want to address the issue of money in our politics. And the way that you avoid that is by almost like it's the equivalent of secularizing a religious question. She wants to take this out of the realm of material and materialism and economic power and the political economy, and she wants to keep it only in that process and democracy frame. Now, we know the democracy frame in and of itself, as real of a threat as Trump is to democracy, has not succeeded in animating people in voting against Trump. I mean, aside from from a policy standpoint, it failed. It failed. He attempted a coup 4 years ago, and 4 years later, he wins the presidency. And it's not like nobody was talking about it. He just does not animate people. So you cannot say we shouldn't refer to an oligarchy. We should refer to him as a king. And also we should talk about kitchen table issues. Those two things are at odds with each other.
Exactly right.
Because the reason why people are sitting around their kitchen table and saying, we can't pay these healthcare bills, or, my job's not paying me enough, or, gosh, I wish I had parental leave, or how are we going to take care of mom, or how are we going to take care of dad, or how are we going to take care of our sick children? The reason those conversations happen at the kitchen table is not because of a king, because a king can be benevolent. It is because of an oligarchy. And if you want to call it the rich or the rich elite or wealth disparity or money in politics, but it is because our politics are dominated by money, period.
Yeah. And the other effect of talking about him as a king is also it's a retread of the exceptionalizing of Donald Trump, also from the Republican Party and from the Republican Project. It's another version of this, which basically shows that it's acting like he's outside of the Republican Party. It's acting like he is acting alone. That's what a king would imply. He's ruling as a monarch, as opposed to a part of a structure that is oppressing people. And if you want to beat the Republicans, you have to tie Donald Trump to that structure. So what are the Republicans if he's a king?
100%. 100%.
I mean, and that is, it is just so frustrating on so many different levels, which is that she is doing both a disservice to the Democrats and harnessing this message for electoral gains, but also doing a disservice in terms of killing the Republican brand, because the Democrats' brand is in the shitter right now. It has the lowest approval rating since in 30, 40 years. And so how do you do that? You harness this particular energy, and she's trying to undercut that. And she's not alone, obviously. But I do think it's interesting that Rahm Emanuel is going out there and doing all this media with Dick Durbin retiring, by the way.
Good point. Buckets and Buckets says that in that poll, only 36% felt they could define oligarchy. Yes, but this question is, without looking it up, if you had to guess, which whenever you hear something you don't know what it is, you instinctively guess. Which of the following best describes what you believe an oligarchy is? And again, these numbers represent a government where power is concentrated in the hands of a small, wealthy elite. That works.
Republicans are the only people who can't get above 50%.
That tracks.
You don't replace that word with kings unless you specifically want to avoid addressing the political economy of our country. And you want to keep it strictly into almost a bloodless argument about democracy.
And we had Abdul Al-Sayed on the show yesterday, who's running for Senate in Michigan. He's obviously my preferred candidate. Bernie endorsed him immediately. There's also Mallory McMorrow, who is the state senator who's running in that race. But the most important thing is to defeat Haley Stevens is her last name. Haley Stevens, the Zionist or whatever, the one that's taking enormous amounts of AIPAC money and going over the top.
Promising a blank check.
Yeah, going over the top and saying no conditions on aid to Israel, unlimited, like going over the top on that front. And Michigan, with like now that it's become a more blue state and there's been hard work going into that, they do not deserve to have two senators who are this centrist and this conservative as Democrats. So just be mindful of that, because if it's not Abdul al-Sayed, I like Mallory McMorrow would be better. So just keep that in mind, because that would be just a total like disservice, honestly, if that's what happens.
It would be a shame. I mean, everyone from us to Pod Save like is on the Sayed
Nice.
Abdul al-Sayed thing. Yeah.
Also, one last clip on that whole Donald Trump as a populist thing. This is just a reminder. If you are, for a moment, believe that Donald Trump is a populist. Now, maybe something has dramatically changed since he cut taxes for wealthy people last time. And his only legislative edict this time around is one big, beautiful bill that cuts Medicaid, I should say, and cuts taxes. Maybe something dramatically has changed in the last, 5 minutes. But I will remind you that the first thing he did when he won in 2016 was he ditched the press and he went straight down to a restaurant in New York City. I don't know if it's still there. I didn't even know about it at the time, called the 21 Club. And it was like one of the most high-end restaurants in the country. Now, this video is going to be pretty low res because we got it from some, the only place I could find it, honestly, searching for it was on this show
Some
called
schmucks.
The Majority Report. With some geek wearing a sweater vest. Yeah, this is rough.
I mean, were you trying to consciously dress like Rick Santorum during this time period?
I had the sweater vest before he did. I just want to say that.
I don't know if that's a good thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Rick Santorum stealing from me.
I would get too warm in the studio, and but there was an in between.
Understood.
It was a little bit cold coming to the office. Anyways, this is what Donald Trump. He went to the 21 Club, and listen to literally his first thing when he gets elected. You don't worry.
Thank you. Have a good meal. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. President-elect.
Thank you. Thank you. Get your taxes down. No, thank you. Thank you.
Look at all those normal people with their diamond necklaces.
It's the public.
Yeah, there's the public. He's out meeting and greeting the public.
Mr. President-elect. Mr. President-elect, no heads up for the media, sir.
He snuck in. He didn't even apparently he didn't tell the media. He just went there and you know who was probably sitting in there? It was probably Howard Lutnick.
Probably.
Having a Chateaubriand, whatever that fancy piece of steak is.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
A what?
Oh, it's permanently closed, the 21 Club.
It did?
Looks like it.
That's such a shame. New York City. That's why I go down to Mar-a-Lago.
That might be out of date. I'm not sure. They haven't updated the...
Let's do number 7. Fuck this.
What? What?
I can't. This guy drives me crazy.
Okay.
The
This is
left
number
wanted to make comedy illegal, you know.
Oh, yes, let's do this.
And now
This is amazing. I wasn't going to play this. I had forgotten about it. I saw it at one point, and then I just, I think this happened during my vacation, so I didn't pay that much attention to it. I don't remember. And then Larry David wrote what I thought was actually a pretty funny piece in the New York Times
He's a funny guy.
about his dinner with Hitler,
Yeah.
as if he was back in the 30s. Now look. Well, let's listen to Bill Maher first before we talk about it. I think he responded to, now the Larry David thing happened.
Yeah, we
first.
should give just a little bit of a timeline for people who aren't caught up on this. So Bill Maher had dinner with Trump, then talked about it on his show, like for, I guess, 15 minutes or something like that, about how he's actually like pretty funny behind the scenes and he's a really nice guy. And so then Larry David takes out an opinion piece in the New York Times called My Dinner with Adolf.
Can I just read the first couple lines?
Yes.
Imagine my surprise when in the spring of 1939 a letter arrived.
Oh, wait, let's do this afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Because first we're going to do what Bill Maher did in announcing that he had done this.
Right.
And understand the tremendous whitewashing that's going on here of Donald Trump. Let's play this first.
Okay.
The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner shit-tweeted a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome someone to your house. But when I got there, that guy wasn't living there. Now, does Trump want respect? Of course, who doesn't? My friend said to me, what are you going to wear to the White House? I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to dress like Zelensky, I'll tell you that.
Like Tim Pool.
Pause it for 1 second. Here's the thing, and this is sort of inside baseball. But back in the day, I did a lot of live sitcom tapings. I've been to a lot of shows like Bill Maher.
Yeah.
As an audience member, sometimes I've worked. I used to do little bits on Conan. That first person you hear laughing works on the show. And their job is to juice the laugh from the live audience because they don't want to use canned things.
It's like my job here.
And if you, exactly. But if you hear it, like, you do it well. This guy's going, like it's just like, almost like it's probably, it could even be one of the writers just trying to push the stuff. But go back and listen. Just listen how forced the laughter is on this. This is Zelensky. I mean, it's just so, all right, but then go ahead. I know this is petty.
What are you going to wear to the White House? I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to dress like Zelensky, I'll tell you that. Okay. Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. Okay, example, in the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed, he got it. I said to him at one point, Mr. President, you know the dog, that's unusual in the White House. He said, well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons. I said, no, people love dogs, that's what that is. Oh yeah, okay, that's true. I'm telling you what happened. At one point, we were walking through his amazing,
we don't need to hear
amazing tour.
We don't need to hear about this. Because here's the thing. Who gives a shit? He is on, this is a political show.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Sam. He's speaking his truth.
I know he's speaking his truth, but the fact of the matter is that all he's doing is saying that don't pay attention. There is another side to Donald Trump you don't know. And I say, who gives a shit? Because he's the president of the United States. What's relevant to people is what he's doing. Do you think like Mahmoud Khalil cares that there's another softer side? He's a real human, Donald Trump.
He laughs.
He laughs. Or whether it's Palestinians in Gaza, whether it's a scientist who's lost their jobs, whether it's, go across the entire board. Like, this is specifically for his little project of pretending like, don't get that far engaged in politics. I'm okay, you're okay.
Right. And all those liberals that I've grown to detest because I'm an old rich guy and this is kind of the standard trajectory. They have Trump derangement syndrome. Don't you know? He's actually a really nice guy. It's like, it is the equivalent of the Hitler loved dogs thing. And that's what Larry was obviously riffing off of, it seems like.
Yeah, let's read some of this Larry David piece, because this is the point. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump is actually better, up close, because, who cares? Who cares? It's completely irrelevant.
It's also irrelevant if he even believes in his ideology, right? Like, Donald Trump could be a secret, liberal, woke, social justice warrior behind the scenes. Doesn't matter. What matters is what he says in public and his actions as president. I don't care about his as a person.
Bill, I want to show you something. Look, underneath my shirt, I wear a Che Guevara t-shirt.
Yeah.
Isn't that impressive?
Right.
Okay, shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah. And that would be irrelevant because it's all about his actions. But what Larry does so well in this Times thing is nailing just the level of self-involvement, the level of narcissism, of thinking that this is something that you should say publicly. And two, like, he doesn't even make an attempt, Bill Maher does, to claim that he challenged Trump in any way.
Listen, if Bill Maher wants to go to dinner as a comedian and have dinner with Trump, that's his business. I could still think he's a piece of garbage, but who cares? The bottom line is he's going out there and he is whitewashing Trump. There was a reason why people had a problem with Jimmy Fallon mussing Donald Trump's hair, because you are humanizing a person whose power is greater than any other human on the planet. And certainly at this time, greater than any other human on the planet, or maybe there's a handful of others, to immiserate people and to create and to destroy structures that are crucial to feeding people, making people's lives better, et cetera, et cetera. Whether he's got a sense of humor or he laughs is wholly irrelevant and does nothing but try and make people who are critical of what Trump is doing and what his administration is doing, make them seem like they're the ones with a problem. But read this Larry David thing.
Imagine my surprise when in the spring of 1939, a letter arrived at my house inviting me to dinner at the old chancellery with the world's most reviled man, Adolf Hitler. I had been a vocal critic of his on the radio from the beginning, pretty much predicting everything he was going to do on the road to dictatorship. No one I know encouraged me to go. He's Hitler. He's a monster. But eventually I concluded that hate gets us nowhere. I knew I couldn't change his views, but we need to talk to the other side, even if it has invaded and annexed other countries and committed unspeakable crimes against humanity. 2 weeks later, I found myself on the front steps of the old chancellery and was led into an opulent living room where a few of the Fuhrer's most vocal supporters had gathered: Himmler, Göring, Leni Riefenstahl, and the Duke of Windsor, formerly King Edward VIII. We talked about how some of the most beautiful art on the walls that had been taken from the homes of Jews. But our conversation ended abruptly when we heard footsteps coming down the hallway. Everyone stiffened as Hitler entered the room. He was wearing a tan suit with a swastika armband and gave me an enthusiastic greeting that caught me off guard. Frankly, it was a warmer greeting than I normally get from my parents. That was my favorite one, just like the narcissism of that. And it was accompanied by a slap on my back. I found the whole thing quite disarming. I joked that I was surprised to see him in a tan suit because if he wore that out, it would be perceived as un-Führer-like. That amused him to no end, and I realized I'd never seen him laugh before.
This is just so fantastic.
Suddenly, he seemed so human, Here I was, prepared to meet Hitler, the one I had seen and heard, the public Hitler. But this private Hitler was a completely different animal, and oddly enough, this one seemed more authentic. Like this was the real Hitler. The whole thing had my head spinning.
I'm the guy who's impressed that someone seems more authentic in person than they do like at a Nazi rally.
It's shocking. People get the idea. And Dave from Jamaica did shank write that. Did shank write that. Okay. And then I like this when Hitler's joking around. Goring immediately grabbed a slice of pumpernickel, whereupon Hitler turned to me, gave me an eye roll, and then whispered, "Watch, he'll be done with his entire meal before you've taken 2 bites." That one really got me. Goring, with his mouth full, asked what was so funny, and Hitler said, "I was just telling him about that time my dog had diarrhea at the Reichstag." Goring remembered. How could he forget? He loved that story. Especially the part where Hitler shot the dog before it got back into the car. And then a beaming Hitler said, "Hey, if I can kill Jews, gypsies, and homosexuals, I can certainly kill a dog." That perhaps got the biggest laugh of the night, and believe me, there were plenty. And so,
he's a living
Larry David,
legend.
I encourage people, we'll link to it. It's very funny.
Yeah.
And then Bill Maher apparently takes offense to this.
It hurt his feelings.
Here he is sitting on, what's the name of his show?
It's actually Piers Morgan's show.
But filmed on Club Random premises.
Oh, I thought this was, what's it called? Alcoholic Weekly. Sorry. Joke, Bill. Oh, it's on Pierce's? Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're just in the Club Random.
Okay,
I mean, does Bill leave the complex?
I don't think
know.
so, but this set is bizarre and weird looking, but anyway.
Larry David, because you're friends, aren't you? Were you friends? Are you friends?
Yes, of course. I mean, this wasn't, my favorite moment of our friendship, but, look, I don't want to get in too much into that, but I think the minute you play the Hitler card,
That's what I think.
you've lost the argument.
Yes.
And also, I must say, come on, man. Hitler, Nazis, nobody has been harder about and more prescient, I must say, about Donald Trump than me. I don't need to be lectured on who Donald
really?
Trump is. Just the fact that I met him in person didn't change that. And the fact that I reported honestly is not a sin either. But, to use the Hitler thing, first of all, I just think it's kind of insulting to 6 million dead Jews, that should kind of be...
You gotta be effing kidding me. Are you effing kidding me? He's now policing comedy use of Hitler? Why don't you bring Mel Brooks over?
Yeah.
Ask him about Springtime for Hitler.
Yeah.
Why don't you bring over Woody Allen? Why don't you bring over every Jewish comedian who has plowed the road for you to even have like any semblance of a career and ask them like, you joking about Hitler? I don't know if that doesn't seem appropriate.
Do you think
Are you kidding me?
Do you
Are you kidding? Like, how dare he?
Yeah, I know.
His entire career has been politically incorrect. Yeah. We can't police God. And now he's saying this. This is one of the most, and I've been doing this for 20 years, one of the most hypocritical, disingenuous, like, I can't believe that no one in his life said, Bill, wait a second. You shouldn't say that.
But that's the problem. Who is in his life? Like, he doesn't have a family.
There you go. He doesn't. I mean, honestly, there must be nobody. Like, Bill, do you really want to criticize Larry David for a satirical piece bringing up Hitler?
Yeah, Bill, are you sure you maybe just didn't get a big rush off your first socialization in 4 years when you went to Mar-a-Lago? Are you sure it was Trump?
And this is the thing, too. Like, aside from that being just, so delicious and, frankly, nutritious, that I feel like someone living on a desert island could live for years off of just how incredibly, like, the amount of chutzpah on that, I think, honestly, could
And to say that to Larry, too. I mean, like, Larry David is a Jewish man. This is absurd.
It's just such a disgrace to make a joke about the Hitler to the Jews.
The Hitler card.
Okay, like, he just played the Hitler card in an incredible way. But to say that you honestly reported, like, if you really want to honestly report, I think there are probably some things in Bill Maher's personal life that he could honestly report on that would be genuinely honest. I mean, there's a lot of stuff escapades that Bill Maher has had.
Oh, certainly.
Is he reporting now on his personal trips to eat out with people? He should really broaden that. There's probably a lot of interesting personal story reporting that he could do.
There's like so much I would love to know about being a 21-year-old girl.
I mean, I am sure there's a lot of really interesting, but is that all he was doing?
We should go back. People, we covered this on a Thursday, maybe like 6 or so months ago. People should go back and watch our coverage of him bringing on a bunch of children onto the Club Random set and asking them about pornography and Stormy Daniels.
Oh, I think he has even more interesting stories probably that are not on camera. But since he's just going to that's his job now, honestly report his experiences. I mean, give me a break. Take some responsibility for the garbage that you spew on everybody. That is really impressive.
He's clutching his pearls now. I thought the left wanted to make comedy illegal.
Comedy's legal now, isn't it?
I thought so. You can say the R word apparently under Trump.
That is amazing.
And that's what comedy is.
You can't make fun of anything.
I'm sure, yes. Paste Lowell, why wasn't Bill Maher outraged about the Soup Nazi episode? Oh, I'm sure he really was. I'm sure he really, really was. I seem to remember that, yes, on Politically Incorrect, where he stopped the show and said, I can't believe, how dare Larry David and Seinfeld say this about 6 million Jews.
Yeah. Maybe if Larry had said that the Nazis were courageous, that would have been okay with Bill Maher.
The chances, and I don't want to go too far on a limb here, but the chances that Bill Maher has never used the word Nazi to describe someone less than a Nazi, I would put somewhere around 0. Maybe 0. Somewhere between 0 and 0, I would say. But the bottom line is that, yes, Trump is not Hitler. But there is this literary technique where people use analogies. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll use the most extreme version of something to show how actually outrageous it is. Like, that is a often used technique. In fact, in even the jokes that he's telling. UK had full-on sitcoms about Nazis. Yes, I remember a sitcom about Hitler being the next door neighbor. I can't remember. It was like Heil Honey, I'm Home, I think it was called.
Really?
Or something. Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just absurd. It's just absurd. I mean, it's the Three Stooges. I mean, like, this goes back decades. Decades. Unbelievable.
His feelings were hurt.
Someone held me to account for what I did on my show. The hundreds of thousands of dollars I made that night don't feel as comfortable as they did before. Amazing. That is, just the idea that he's complaining about.
Last year he compared folks who I believe may have vandalized, or there was some protests about the Brooklyn Museum, and he compared them to Nazis.
Oh my God.
Says the Nazis used the yellow triangle, so I guess they just changed their colors and the language.
Oh my God. Is that true? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ramona Frankenstein, Sam, your criticism of Bill Maher is making me think you're an anti-Semite. Bill Maher is being so brave, sticking up for De Fuhrer, and you're teasing him. Bill Maher. I'm only anti-Semitic towards Bill Maher for half of him. The other is my anti-Catholic streak. I'm torn. That is just fascinating that he could say that. It is just fascinating. Can we bookmark that? Can we save that?
I got that in the hard drive.
For the 5,000 other times in the future that he's going to... unbelievable. People at the Brooklyn Library are Nazis, but
Larry's beyond the pale.
Beyond the pale.
The pro-Palestine protesters, yep.
Amazing. Heil, honey, I'm home. Someone just sent the theme. I mean, it was a funny show. Like their next door, I think it was like the next door neighbor was Hitler.
Like an undercover Nazi sort of thing.
I don't think I think he was like in uniform. It was from like the 90s, and I think I saw like 1 or 2 episodes. I don't think it was on for very long.
I just saw a Daily Beast headline from 2016 that says Bill Maher compares Donald Trump's children to Nazis.
Put it up on. Will you go pop that up? Oh my God! Really?
It's beyond the pale.
I'm worried about seeing that.
Really?
Because
Really doing the Hitler thing?
Are we really doing that?
We're doing the Hitler thing now?
Hold on. You can save this, actually. Let's hear somebody else whine about it. Let's go to clip number 9. Let's go to clip number 9. Look, folks, you should really... It is wrong for comedians to be shut down when if you can't make fun of people who have mental challenges and use the R word, and you can't make fun of trans people, then America, it dies in the darkness. But for a comedian to use Hitler as a joke, oh my God. Oh, let's watch this.
My biggest issue is critics of Trump's need to come up with new material. Like the Hitler thing is getting a little played out, to be honest with you. Like that's such a tired, parallel to draw. And yeah, he was comparing Trump to Hitler. I'm not stupid. Like if you read the piece, that's clearly what he's doing here.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's an analogy to Hitler.
Yes.
And he's less criticizing Trump than he is criticizing Bill Maher for talking to Hitler, the equivalent of Hitler. But nevertheless, it is a Hitler reference. There's no question about that. So, I mean, Larry David's a super smart guy. So don't insult our intelligence. And don't be patronizing. If you're going to say something, say it. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, look.
Pause it. Wait, patronizing. Say it. Like, was it? Did these guys think that it was like unclear what Larry David was saying?
He's trying to be sneaky with the My Dinner with Adolf piece in the New York Times.
That was a little subtle. That was a little subtle for my taste. I mean, Larry David is satirizing someone in his comedy community, but it seems a little... What was he trying to get at here? I mean, honestly...
Just say what you mean, Larry.
Can't you write a comedy piece that is not so like literary and
comedy-y?
Here's the problem I had with the Larry David piece. It seemed too ironic. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, just come out.
And perhaps he was using Hitler, an example of one of the most evil people to ever live, as an exaggeration for emphasis because it was a piece of satire.
Also, Musk is doing Nazi salutes. Did they have that up in the side of it? Like, why? Or is that added by whoever clipped this?
I think it's shout out. I think it's Hank. Hank clipped this, so okay, Hank must have added it. Yes.
That's a good contrast.
Yes. Yeah.
Criticizing Bill Maher for talking to Hitler, the equivalent of Hitler. But nevertheless, it is a Hitler reference. There's no question about that. So, I mean, Larry David's a super smart guy, so don't insult our intelligence.
I'm sorry, it's a Hitler reference. The title has Hitler in it. Yeah.
Well, I think we picked up on it. That's evidence number one I would give, that it's a
code.
Hitler reference.
It's a secret code.
Yeah.
And it's like he's insulting our intelligence by what? By doing it in comedy. Listen, folks, when you're going to do satire, one of the things that you learn very quickly is you put an asterisk like at the top and say, incidentally, this piece is a satirical knock
Right.
on Bill Maher. Now, also understand, caveat, parenthetical, I'm exaggerating a little bit for effect. That will give it a comedic, what we call flair.
Right.
Like a comedic je ne sais quoi. And then another parentheses, je ne sais quoi is like, I don't, like a French way of saying like a pizzazz or something I don't know what.
Right. Honestly, maybe Cenk's just still smarting from the fact that Francesca Fiorentini put together that video with Curb Your Enthusiasm music in the background on the gulags, right? Where Cenk was laughing at the idea that there would be concentration camps for immigrants. And Francesca put that Curb music behind it, which was the reason that she was banned from TYT and all TYT shows. He seems to maybe have a bit of a Larry David problem.
Right, so don't insult our intelligence.
Yeah.
And don't be patronizing. If you're going to say something, say it. Right. And so
He said it.
Look, I just think that they're on the wrong track. And the thing that I keep going
Who's
back
the
to
they here? Wait a second. Like
The left, like Larry David.
the left, Larry David. You know what this sounds like to me? Someone's desperately trying to get on to real time. That's what's going on here. I guarantee you.
You can go and look, and I remember these conversations. You can go back and look, and Cenk was always very upset that Bill never invited him on the show.
Okay, let's continue. Oh, I'm sure they're still pitching it.
Yep.
while they think they're on the moral high ground, folks like Larry David, oh, they're all Hitler, don't talk to Hitler, etc. I think that they're being deeply counterproductive because by not
pause it. I should also
by
tell
not
you,
trying
like,
to influence
they're all Hitler. I think he's being specific about a person.
Yeah. And again, not drawing a one-to-one comparison, saying Trump is exactly like Hitler, using a historical example to underscore the narcissism of Bill Maher's position.
And I also have to say, like, the issue isn't that you went and had a dinner with him and you it was a personal dinner. It's not like you're going out there and lobbying him to save, like, release prisoners or to stop the attack on Social Security. Like, what did Bill Maher lobby in his, like, conversation? Like, oh, I'm the one who actually got Donald Trump to try Carpaccio. I'm the one who, like, the reason why Donald Trump now, likes Carpaccio is because I got him to try it. Like, we need to talk to each other.
And also, what happened to the critique of, like, corporate media and access journalism? Bill Maher is a member of the media. I mean, his show is on CNN on occasion. He delves into politics. He may not be a journalist, but he went to Donald Trump's to have dinner with Donald Trump and seemingly just engaged in, like, flattery and chit chat, as opposed to holding the most powerful person on the planet accountable. Isn't that just kind of basic journalistic ethics at this point?
Keep playing this.
Or ethics as, like, a member of the media.
Hilarious.
don't talk to Hitler, etc. I think that they're being deeply counterproductive because by not talking, by not trying to influence people, by not getting involved in the conversation, you're letting in his analogy, you're letting the brown shirts, the SS, the Gestapo run wild with no opposition. How does that help?
What?
At least Bill Maher went in there to try to help and you're trying to push him in the right direction.
What?
What? Wait, but
where's the evidence of that?
Why didn't Bill Maher tell us about how he advocated for not cutting Medicaid or like what? I really think that it's the bad idea for you to be, having your ICE people snatch people off the ground.
Yeah. Well,
brown shirts are right. Like, so Trump is the brown shirts. The brown shirt. That this metaphor is.
It's odd. Also,
Cenk doesn't know.
Why isn't he being more explicit? What is he saying with brown shirt? I don't get it.
But it's also bizarre because
what difference does the color of people's shirts make? I'm so confused.
But if you are using that and saying, like, oh, we have to defeat them, what you mean? You have to defeat them by going to dinner with them and getting into their inner circle and
only
flattering
more people
them?
accepted Hitler's invitations, the brown shirts wouldn't have been able to run around doing all that.
If only there was a historical example of what appeasement did to the Nazis that we could basically draw on.
I don't even think those people got dinner. Good.
How does that help? at least Bill Maher went in there to try to help and you're trying to push him in the right direction. I don't see Larry David doing that. So, he's perfectly clever, but Larry, show me how you helped, because now for the first time I see how Bill has helped. So I score one for Bill Maher, and because normally I love Larry David, and I take Larry David over Bill Maher on almost any other issue. But on this, no, sorry, Larry. I think you're definitely wrong, and you're being counterproductive. And let the brother try to do some good in the world.
What good did he do?
Oh, you don't. He's building bridges. He's building bridges.
Oh, that's right.
I love to be stepping on rakes all the time, telling everyone else they're on the wrong track and counterproductive.
God. Oh, here, put up, what did you find where Bill Maher Bill Maher compares Donald Trump's children to Nazis. Oh, Bill, why would you have done that? There was so much, we had such an opportunity. Oh, and look at that. Back in March, Louis C.K. penned a passionate screed against presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump, labeling Hitler and the American public to Germany in the 30s. And then HBO, Bill Maher took it upon himself to compare the Trump children to Nazis. Oh, Bill, you missed an opportunity to reach out to Trump. Maybe that's why Trump did all those things the first time around.
Yeah.
Go to that video I just that someone just sent us in the IMs. Which IM? I put it in the in our DMs there to executive producer. Oh, wait, what? I put it into the wrong place. Who?
Russ is executive producer.
No, that should not be open. That one.
Okay.
Here, put it into.
Geraldo?
Yeah, go to 619. I just put it in there. Go to 619. This is apparently where I think Geraldo may have had. Here we go. 619. There, you there? Yep. Got.
Sleazy crime family.
Sleazy and crime aren't necessarily the same thing.
No, they're both.
You know, Trump is my friend. I've known Trump for 40 years. I don't have.
I knew OJ.
I don't have.
He didn't.
So did Trump.
He didn't.
So did Trump. I interviewed Trump.
He didn't
about OJ
remain my
trial.
friend when I felt he had a certain moral lapse.
Well, in my family, my wife agrees with you. She doesn't like his policies on so many things that I already listed, so she just can't stand the guy. I'm different. I can separate the man who's always been gracious to me, always been nice to my family. You know, we were on Celebrity Apprentice together every day for 6 weeks. I've known him really through every aspect.
Shit. He's running the world now. What does that matter that he was nice to you at Thanksgiving? Geraldo, I'm not trying to be an asshole to you. You're a smart guy. This befuddles me. I looked up to you.
You know,
I don't think I could have said it any better than Bill Maher said it.
Yes. Thank you, Bill.
That's what's
like
insulting to intelligence. Is
exactly.
Acting like that stuff isn't at all relevant.
Exactly. You have a private relationship with him and keep it to yourself. Tell your friends when you're off TV. But TV is a communication medium, and you're blasting out to millions of people. What you do has an impact. And if you deny that, you're the one. You're the one who's insulting people's intelligence. You're the one who's hiding the ball, essentially. And at one point, Bill Maher understood that until he gets invited to the White House. And then all of a sudden, comedians aren't allowed to talk about Nazis.
I kid the Trump children. Don't you love them? Perfect Ivanka and little Tiffany and Eric Don Jr. They're like the Von Trapp family. You know the Sound of Music. Instead of running away from the Nazis, they joined them.
There you go.
6 million, Bill. How could you?
Well, that sound signifies the end of the film portion of our program.
Yeah, which never began.
Never began. Damn. That is impressive. All of those people are impressive to me. The level of it's just and it's all of it for for the sake of their audience, to build an audience, like I think, Cenk and Anna must realize, like, oh, we gotta maintain this. Gonna maintain this audience now.
I think at some point you should realize you're maybe pissing into the wind on some of this stuff, but what do I know?
Well, it doesn't seem like there is much of an audience for it, which is part of what's bizarre about this.
Well, Bill Maher obviously has one. He just that notion of like, hey, don't be crazy and go off and call Donald Trump a Nazi. He's a nice guy, behind the scenes. That's all I'm saying. Unbelievable. Folks, okay, let's do a couple IMs and we'll get out of here. I know we got to get out of here in 4 minutes. Right?
Yes. Well, that would be.
That would be 5 minutes after the end of the show, but okay.
We won't rest.
This is not live. Sam, excited to hear your conversation with Ethan Klein. Do you know when that's happening yet? I don't. We've been in brief contact, and we will figure that out at one point. Hack all things. Where's our weekly ration of poggers, Samuel? Poggers.
Poggers.
What's up, Twitch?
We are within 5,000 subs from 100,000. So
on Twitch?
Yeah, poggers indeed.
Oh man, let's get a hype train going. We only got like 3 minutes, but let's do this. We need to get a hype train going.
I'll start shoveling some coal.
Beer. Do you think Edward Gregorian got to Beer? Bill Maher also. You haven't given a Twitch chat of poggers in a while. Oh, did I just read? Is it another person saying that? Poggers quota is being underrepresented. Poggers. Majority Report wardrobe coordinator. I wish Larry would do a Curb episode where it's just him berating Cheryl Hines.
Yeah.
Spike us. It's destroying your Social Security. Elon Schmuck's scrotal shrinkage. Okay. Lavender allergy. Getting confused and angered by figurative literary devices is one of the #1 signs of being a conservative. I'm reminded of when Sam and right-wing Mandela were making fun of Gavin McInnes when he stopped getting dinner invites.
That's so funny.
Yep. Is this Matt? And they were roommates. Shaheen endorsed Chris Pappas for Senate. I think that's extremely premature and very short-sighted. Pappas is very unimpressive. Trump change. I take credit for Durbin leaving because I wrote him after Schumer's capitulation, asking him to step down with the rest of leadership. You're welcome. Pinky and the Brain. Managed to make it out to see my wife here in Texas, but returning to the UK tomorrow. We've been fueling ourselves on just coffee, got a bit obsessed with reading the descriptions and so on. Damn fine coffee. The single origins especially. We'll return for some more later in the year, I'm sure. Glad to hear it. Chuck Schumer's Grill. There's faux populism on the right, which shapes up to be the xenophobia and anti-immigration, anti-trans stuff, tax wealth, not work, which Gary Stevenson is popularizing in the UK, is the only antidote from the left that I've heard that seems to catch folks' attention. I wish the Democrats would pick it up and run with it. Has Majority Report covered Gary Stevens' new book, The Trading Game? It's a great read, very entertaining, and has been on the bestseller list in the Times for several weeks. His YouTube channel, Gary's Economics, is also a terrific educational resource for average folks out there who are curious about taxing wealth. Yeah, I think we played a clip of his.
Him talking to Piers Morgan, yeah.
Yes.
We should get him on the show.
Yeah.
The tax wealth not work is just such a, I mean, it's basically what Piketty was talking about, but it's such a simple way, and I think most people can agree with it.
I mean, it's sort of what Warren Buffett's been talking about for years. Is it Buffett?
Yeah, the billionaire.
Yeah. Carolina Jess, you mean to tell me raising revenue would balance the budget? Isn't he King or Reagan or McKinley? Is he stupider version of Nixon? All right, 3 more. John Miller. People like Slotkin are mealy-mouthed and say contradictory things because they don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to Trump. That's because they support some of it. Hitler is too extreme. Himmler, Goebbels, the other Nazis, on the other hand, are fair use to use for comparisons. I suppose we could do Mussolini.
Mm-hmm.
But no one knows who Mussolini is. J.D. Spence. Y'all missing the point. Jenk's favorite singer is Kid Rock. Hi, y'all. With all the questions lately about how to talk to Trump people, it might really be interesting to have Walter Matterson on. He does incredible work engaging with them. Sam has reacted to him in the past. His George Santos interview is absolutely hilarious, by the way. Heavily recommended for Friday's Fun Half as a palate cleanser for the horrors. Yeah, he's great. He's pretty funny. All right, two more. The Massive. There was a show out of Australia called Danger 5, where each episode was a weird spy agency foiling the plans of a famous Nazi, then failing to kill Hitler, which was the directive given to them at the start of each episode at the end of mission briefing. And the final IM of the day. Let's see what we got here. Old Chomsky. When the Soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld came out, I stopped eating lobster bisque. Matt, Russ, Emma, great job today. Great job this week. Folks, we'll see you on Monday.